In this video, I want to talk about a job that we created here at Nova Software Solutions. This job helps us create command line applications, C# console apps. And the reason that we decided to build this was that as we were having developers come in and create these applications for us, we noticed that we were getting all kinds of structures, uh, different patterns, et cetera, et cetera. So we wanted to have consistency. So we got together, came up with a pattern that we wanted for our console apps, and then we created this job based on that. And again, that allows us to have consistency. It helps out with maintainability, readability, and also future developers coming in, once they get used to our structure, they'll have no problem just jumping in. So, so I'll go ahead and I'll start talking about the job. So it's for us, we put it under a new project, and we called it C# command line application. So if I was tasked as a developer to build let's say, a building application, I would come in here, select my job, and all these inputs I've pre-filled for the demo. So obviously you can change these and set them up to whatever it is that you want. Um, so this is the location of where I want my project and all the code placed. The project name is the name of the project, and it'll also, as you can see in the notes, it's going to append the .cs project, and this will also be used in the namespaces. Now, we do have an example of one of the commands in there. So if you already know how to use this and you don't want to include this example, you put no. But for the demo, I'm going to go ahead and put yes. This is the location of where it's going to go. So here's the location already, and there's no files in there. So as a new developer working on my building application, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and create my console app. So I go ahead and it's going to go through, and these are all the steps that it requires. Um, so once that's done, I can go to my folder, and as you can see, the code is there, the files are there. Um, and if we go ahead and take a look at the project, we can see what the templates did and what our structure is. So again, me as a developer, I would come in, and at this point, I don't really have to worry about how I'm going to lay things out and stuff like that. So this is the standard that our organization chose, and at this point, I can focus on the actual business logic. So if I go ahead and build, you can see that it went ahead and it actually compiled. And if we look at the program class, we can look at what the code looks like. Now, one of the things that we use is we use this NuGet package. So it's as you can see, it's included in here, and it's already one of the dependencies that was automatically added for us. So here is the way that we chose to do it. For other organizations, your exceptions, you might want to log them to a log server, call some sort of web API, et cetera, et cetera. So if you wanted to do something like that, again, all you have to do is come up with your structure, your design, and then write your T4 templates, and then of course use Igor to execute that, and gives you some consistency. So this is what the code looks like. Here's our commands go under this commands folder, and here's the example command. So this is where your actual business logic would go. So if we wanted to sort of see this in action, um, we could basically, here's an example. We come in here and open it up in the command. Go ahead and copy this. So if I wanted to see what commands are available for us, and again, this is because our template created the all the code for us. So in a sense, you as a developer, we get all this for free. All this code's all generated for us. So here it is. If I go ahead and see, hey, for this particular app, I want to see what commands are available for me, what my options are, et cetera, et cetera. So here's a list of commands. So if I wanted to execute the example command, then I would do something like this, where I can go ahead and copy it, and let me go ahead and paste it. And once I run that, you can see here that there's our console.write line. So we can see that that it's executed and everything is looking as expected. So now, obviously, we could have created a project from scratch and gone through here, but again, you end up not having the exact structure that our organization wants, and then you start having just different patterns and stuff like that, so it becomes harder to manage. One of the other things now is that if I wanted to add a command to handle my let's say that we do monthly ACH billing, and I wanted to come here. Well, I could come in here and I could go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to add a command, and come in here and say, you know, uh, process ACH monthly. Go ahead and add this. Now, a lot of times, what you end up doing is you go to a working example and copying it and pasting, and then doing something like this where you come in here, delete this, um, process. So this is what a lot of times you end up doing, and then you know put a description here. Um, and go ahead and do a build, and then you know here's you have to wire it in here. So now you have CH monthly, and then you go ahead and build, and then you go back and at this point you're ready to test. So you would come into go to your command and do help, and there it is, process ACH monthly. So you would copy that, and let's go ahead and execute it. And there is your console write doesn't fire. So we go back and we see that it's there, but it's not working. So again, if you're adding commands, then it's pretty easy to detect what the issue is. But if it's been 6 months, 7 months, a year since you've done a command, sometimes little things are missed and you end up spending 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out why it won't fire. And then of course you get frustrated. So in this particular thing, one of the things that we forgot to do was, put it in here. Um, so once I build it again, and if I try to run it, there it is. So now it's properly wired. So this is how typically you would add a command to an existing app. So what we did is we also created another job that allows us to do that. So if we already have an existing app, instead of going and doing it manually, I just come through here and I basically go ahead and fill out the inputs. Now, again, all these inputs are configurable. You decide what they are, and then you use them within your T4 templates. And the more specific it is, the less that you need. So this is a pretty generic command, so there's more inputs, but typically, once we use it within a different solution, we minimize it to where you would probably just need these first three. So as you can see, these I'm not going to change. Um, so let's say that I wanted to do something similar. So if I wanted to do process ACH weekly instead of monthly, the argument name ACH weekly, and then description. So now if I go ahead and just do that, so as a developer, I come in and I just do that, go to the project, you can see that it's already there for me. And then it's also wired up um, for me. So at this point, all I have to do is build. And if I wanted to start coding, um, basically this is where your code goes, and you're ready to start putting in your business logic. So if we were to run this one, you could see it in action, and there it is. So at this point, you don't forget to do anything. It's the job is there. The other nice thing about it is that it gives you a description. So in a sense, you're documenting the process. So it allows us to know what's happening, what it's doing, and you can put comments in there if you want them to focus on something in particular. Um, so going back here, one of the other things too that if you notice, and I see this happening all the time, where a developer comes in and they added a command, everything works, but as you can see, the example has the actual word command afterward after the actual command, and the one that we did via Igor, that one has it as well. Now the one that we did manually does not have it. Now, obviously, if they would have done it properly, they would have added it and it would have been consistent. But I see stuff like that all the time where somebody goes in there and they have a certain pattern and that pattern is not followed. And then again, little by little, you get out of sync of what the intention was, and then you end up with code that just looks different, um, which again is harder to maintain. So that's pretty much what these two jobs do. And now I'll talk a little bit about the T4 templates and how they were built. So if we go back to the jobs and we go back to the first one, which is the one that creates the actual project. Well, one thing, as you can see, that it's right now it's offline. So right now it's only available to me because I'm going to be editing it. If I wanted to share with the rest of the team, I would just go ahead and enable it, and they would be able to use it right off the bat. So here is basically what the tasks are. So we go ahead and we want to create a project file, a program file, the command example if we want to, and the commands folder. And here's our inputs that like I said earlier, I've defaulted, but obviously you can change them and leave them blank if you want to, or you can leave hints in there. And then here's the root. Now, this executable criteria is if you have your own solution and you want you want to specifically put the folders where you're going to be putting the code, that's what you would use. And then you could Igor would be smart enough to put all the folders under that specific folder. For now, I just put it under the root because again, this is generic, so that's why I need a location input. But if I was going to do it in a more specific project, then obviously I wouldn't need this location. Um, so with that being said, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the T4 and what they look like. So the commands folder, that one doesn't use T4. If we look at it, that actually just creates the directory. So going back, looking at our structure, that basically just creates this folder. Um, so if you look at the output path, then that's basically going to use whatever you put in location in this input field. Um, and then the directory is going to put it, it's going to create a directory there with the name of commands, and it's going to put it under that location. So that one's pretty straightforward. The program file, if we take a look at that one, so that task is a create file task. So that's actually going to go ahead and once again, it's going to create a file. It's going to use that location. It's going to create the file name called programs.cs. And then here's the template path. Now, we don't use what's in the path. We use what's actually in our system, in the Igor system. And this allows us to, for your coworkers or somebody else on the team to run this without having the templates on their local system. So having it on their local system is not required. Um, this template path is used in case you wanted to modify it. So if we wanted to make a change to the template, we would go here. So if I copy it here and I go to the to my templates solution and bring it up, so here's the actual T4 template, and here is basically where in the bottom here you can see your Igor input parameters. So this allows us to take the values that were entered, and then we can use them throughout our T4 template. So if we want to include an example, so here it is. So the first thing that we do is we go ahead and we compare it and say, hey, was the value yes? If it is yes, then go ahead and include the commands folder, and you go ahead and wire it up. Now, the nice thing about doing the T4 templates in Visual Studio is that you can test beforehand. So if we look at the file here, here's the subcommand. Now, if I wanted to test it and see, hey, what happens if they enter no, and I go ahead and I hit save, it's going to come here, and you can see that that it was removed. So you can basically go ahead and do all your T4 template development inside of Visual Studio. So once you have that, now if we wanted to, let's say, just add another return code, we could come in here and say, hey, we're going to do 3 and do something like that. So again, this only changes it in your desktop, but it doesn't, Igor doesn't know anything about that change. So the way that you would put this change in is you would go to your Igor, and as you can see now, there's a little exclamation mark saying, hey, it's not in sync. So basically, if I wanted to bring that template in, I would just go ahead, hit import and save. And once it's successful, you can you can look at your template here, and you can see that it was added. So at this point, when you run, when you execute this job, then this line will be added to your program file. So, but I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And again, if we were to do it, and again, if you wanted to sort of test and see what it would look like, you could look at your program file. So boom, there it is. Okay, but I don't want to do that, so I'll take it away. As you can see right there, it's gone. And here I'm going to do an import and save. So at this point, we're back to what it was. So that's pretty much the program file. And as you can see, here we use the console name that they've inputted, and that's what we use to you in the names put in the namespace um, here in some of the examples and stuff like that. So this is how you use the values that were inputted into Igor and use them throughout your T4 templates. So that's the program file. If we look at the command example, it's going to be similar. Um, Same thing. It's going to use the location. We're going to put it under the commands folder, and there's the file name. And these do run in order. So if you were to look at the execution order, the commands folder comes first because again it needs to be there in order for the command example. So that's why that one runs first. Um, and same thing if we were to look at the T4 template. So if we go to here and let's close that one out. So that's what this one looks like. So whenever you want to create a new command, for this one, all we need is the console name, the app name, and we use that to for the namespace. Um, and then here is basically what you see when you create the app. If we go back to the building one, here's your command example. So basically, this class comes from here, and as you can see, the this is the name of the application that we gave it to. So we use it for the namespace, and we use it here to point out to the program. So pretty straightforward. Um, if we go back and look at the project file, so the project file is just our C# um, project file. So that one, if we look at it, that one gets printed in the location, and it uses the console app name, and then you append .cs_proj. And if we again look at it in Visual Studio, this one here, it's .NET 5.0. Here's the NuGet packages. Here's some of the ones that we use. And then here we add the commands folder to be included in there. So this one's pretty straightforward. This one doesn't really use any of the inputs from Igor. And the the one thing to keep in mind is that even though the T4 template doesn't use any of those inputs, the location is an input, and so is the scheduled task. So we still need these inputs here. And one thing that's interesting is that you can see that here it's called scheduled task name, and when we execute the this thing here, we don't have any of them that say it says project name. And if we look at the project name here, it's called console project name. So that's why whenever we did our mapping, so our task input is mapped to the job input of project console name. So that's how you can reuse the same job input across multiple tasks. And you can name them different if it makes more sense for to have a different name in the task, then you can do that. But that being said, that pretty much explains the tasks. As far as the inputs for the job, if this is this is the input that tells us whether um, we include the example. And so here we give it a name, here we give it a label so that when it shows in when they're trying to execute it, it's a little bit of a friendlier name. The default value is going to be no. Typically, you don't want the example, especially once you have developers that have been at your organization for a while. If you do want the example, usually it's by junior developers or somebody that wants to see how it's wired. It is a required field, and then here's your validation regex. So it's either a yes or a no, and that's all that's valid. And then here's your description. So this allows whoever's using this to know what the options that are available. Um, and so that one is used to determine whether we include the example. And the way that you set up the task in this particular case, there's a conditional run. So when you see it here, you'll see that this particular task will only run if this input matches this value. If you type no or anything else, which you can because of the regex, but this is what basically allows it to run only when you type in yes. Let's see, location. Again, here's the default value. If you don't want to have one and you want them to specify, you can just go ahead and delete it. You would still want it to be required because otherwise you wouldn't know where to output the code. And then the project name. Again, you can use the default value, and the more descriptive that you are, the better it is for your end users whenever they're going to use it. They know exactly what it is that you're asking of them. And I believe that that's pretty much it. So with that, we conclude this video. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the comment section, and please subscribe. Thank you.